All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to London. Stop now, stop now. My name's Dave Simpson. I'm one of the UK UserCon leaders. Aided and abetted by a rogues gallery of faces here. So if you are on this diagram, please stand up, wave, give us a hello, just to point out to people who are here, if you can see them. So as well as myself on there, there's VMUG leaders, Chris, Rob, John, and then we're ably assisted by Linda, Gareth, and Chris from Broadcom. So we've got a bit of a leader group, bit of a steering committee group. Thanks to all these people for helping put this on, and you'll see us throughout the day. So any questions about stuff, please look for one of those folks and ask. We're also ably assisted by a whole bunch of extra people on top of that. We've got folks from VMUG HQ and the other VMUG HQ here this morning. So if you're from any VMUG HQ, either the US one or the European one, give us a wave. I can see you, I know you're here. Thank you very much to those folks as well, without whom we couldn't do this either. So it's a collective group effort. And what we do is down at the bottom here. It definitely says we're mostly VMware customers, and that's absolutely true now because that has more customers on it than it does Broadcom people. But VMUG's a volunteer organization. We're here to deliver content for you guys. You can make the best and the most out of this as possible, and we're here to share knowledge, and a rising tide raises all boats, etc. We've done this before. This isn't our first rodeo. So I know it's still a link and not a nice QR code or whatever, but if I put a QR code on there, it covers up the picture. So there's a whole raft of content from the years that we've done this in various locations across the UK. You can find it there. A bunch of the content is absolutely still relevant today. So please dive into there at your leisure. We always put this slide up, a few practicalities before we start, because some of this stuff's really important. Some of it should go without saying, but this is an event that's welcome everybody, regardless of any orientations, beliefs, genders, etc. So if you see anything that you don't like about today, just see one of the people whose names and faces are up at the front. We can do something to help you sort that out. Particularly if you can't hear a speaker. I know we're all mic'd up today. We should all be, so that shouldn't be a problem. But if you can't hear, please let people know at the start rather than at the end. And a note for people who've got more important stuff to say than me, if you do say stuff here, everybody here is on Twix or any other social media. If you've got something, please, it's going to be out there. So unless you want that left in the room, it's going to be out there immediately. Just fair warning. And then really, fire alarms. If you do hear a fire alarm, please follow the usual signs. You know where they are. There's one at the back of the door there. Please make your way out. Follow the instructions of the people who will be directing you at that point. We haven't got anything, as far as I know, planned today. So if you do hear an alarm, please assume that it is real. And of course, please don't chat during the sessions. There is a hallway track you can set off outside any of the rooms yourself, any time of the day. But if you're in the session, the person in front or behind you probably wants to hear it rather than yourself. Wi-Fi details. If you've been to a VMware Explore before, you may find you're already on the Wi-Fi. But yes, VMware Explore, Explore More is the Wi-Fi code for the day. So why are you here? That's what we've got up for you for the day. Joe Baguley up next. Then we've got a whole bunch of breakouts, labs, etc. before lunch. Then a lunch keynote from Valley Cyber. And then breakouts in the afternoon. And then more and more stuff until you get me again at the end, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Closing, giveaways, etc. There's stuff out there where you can go and hunt down prizes in the usual VMUG fashion. And we'll wrap that up at the end of the day. So, a QR code. This will link you to the app. So all the stuff I just mentioned, there's the link, there's the QR code. Please grab that if you wish. That should set out the same sort of stuff that you can see on the side there. I did mention sponsors. These are the sponsors today who have a session. So we can't do this without the sponsors. As much as I say it's a team effort and everything else, the sponsors come along and help us put this on. These events do not run themselves, and we really appreciate the input, the attendance, and the dollars from all of these sponsors here. So these guys are presenting today. The information is going to be pertinent to VCF and the platforms and the stuff that we're talking about for the rest of the day. Go find them, ask them a question. They've also got booths out there. So if you see a session, but you want to ask a question afterwards, they'll be around all day. And also sponsors without sessions, you're going to have to hunt down, or they'll hunt you down. But yeah, please go and speak to our sponsors. They're really important, and they're all here for you. All right, more things you can do. If that wasn't enough, QR Quest, you can go around, hunt for prizes. There's a draw at the end of the day, and I'll be dishing out stuff at the end for you. That's all part of the agenda still. And you can win, it appears, VMUG Advantage subscriptions, which gives you a whole raft of benefits. So VMUG Advantage, as much as we always say that VMUG is free for the end user, VMUG Advantage is a paid-for benefit. But there's a whole raft of things you can do there. If you're into certification, and I'm wearing a shoe, so I'm absolutely on certification message today. If you're taking anything VCF or VVF exam-wise, there's discounts to help you do that if you're not doing it for free today. If you do pass the exam and you get VMUG Advantage, then you get access to the bits. And as the first person in the world to get access to the bits, it definitely works. I promise you. But that's the key benefit for that. You pass an exam, you get access to that for 3 years, you pay VMUG Advantage subscription, and that's how you get access to the stuff. It's well worth doing. Run it in your home lab. It says there $210 for the year. There are group discounts for collective buys, and also, if you see us, the people who were on the slide earlier on, or the VMUG staff, there are codes, because friends don't let friends pay full price for VMUG Advantage. But there's a whole raft of discounts and things in there as well. So there's training discounts, VMware Explore discounts, VMUG Connect discounts, and so on. That was VMUG Connect in St. Louis, so that, but, you know, as per T-shirts. Also, of course, thanks to the Explore on Tour crew who are hosting us today as well. Explore on Tour was all day yesterday, so who here came yesterday to Explore on Tour? Quite a lot. Okay, who came to Explore on Tour yesterday? Who's never been to a UserCon before? Not many. Excellent. Okay. Very good. So yeah, badging. There's 2 different badges. So if you in Explore, different floors of this building, you're going to be let in and out depending what badge you're wearing. So if you've got an Explore badge and you want to go and do something with that today, you're going to need to wear that badge. If you're on this floor and you're doing VMUG stuff, you're going to need to wear this badge. Apparently people are going to check that stuff out. So just be warned that you need the right badge to get into the right place. All right. Now this bit obviously isn't a VMUG slide, but it's pertinent to the stuff we were sort of talking about exam certification, knowledge, the whole thing. So webinars delivered by UKI specialists. If you can see that blue against the blue there, where it tells you how to register, but hit the QR code, it's always the easiest way. There's a whole bunch of sessions about that sort of stuff. Useful for exams, I would say. But if that's not your bag and all you want is swag, this is what you need to do. The rewards folks are around today as well. So Broadcom rewards will give you, as it says there, challenges to do, things to learn, stuff to look at. Earn your points, get your stuff. Fantastic. And again, a much smaller QR code there if you can see that one. Finally, not so important for me on this session, but throughout the day, there are session surveys that you can take. Please do, please fill out feedback. It's really important for the speakers. We always act on the feedback we receive, don't we, guys? Perfect. It's the same sort of thing as Explore. It doesn't take too long, but say your speakers really appreciate it. And if you want to see something different or you've got any comments, please just fill it out. It's always read and always appreciated. And that's me, folks. So I've rattled on for far too long, but please welcome to the stage one of the biggest VMUG supporters I know, Mr. Joe Baguley.
I was big. I lost 3 stone. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to those who've never been to a VMUG before. To those of you who've been to a VMUG before, sorry, yes, it's me again. I did my first VMUG, UK VMUG, in 2011, and since then, there's been a lot more grey hair and a lot less chickens and kittens, and everything else in between for those that remember. So this year, and I've done every keynote every year for UK VMUG, and not because they have to. They invite me back because I think there's no one else, actually, is the answer. But this year, I had some really cool people who happened to be in the building anyway because we had Explore on tour going on. So I thought rather than me stand up here and rant at you for an hour, and also rather than repeat the keynote we did yesterday, because a lot of you would have seen it in Explore, I thought I'd mix it up a little and have a bit of a different show. So what we're going to do today is have a little bit of a mini tech talks kind of chat show kind of thing, but the exciting thing is we're going to have a Q&A at the end of it as well, so you will be able to get asked questions of these people in the audience too. So as we're going through, bear in mind we're going to ask some questions. There's a theme to my talk today, and I've had themes every year about the talks we're going to do. The theme this year actually is around cyber and cybersecurity. And that's because, oddly, it's a conversation I've been having a lot with people in the UK recently, and it's in the news quite a lot recently, and so you'll hear a lot more about that too. So without any further ado on that, I'm going to invite up the first of my special guests on stage, who's going to give you a short presentation and a bit of a demo, and then we'll get in some questions and we'll keep moving on. But we've got some really cool people today. But the first one we've got on stage is Paul Turner. Paul, welcome to stage. That's yours.
You guys are VMUG. You don't need jackets, right? I'll take off a jacket. But that would probably be the start. Let me kind of first off, actually, the T-shirts. I got to work out how I can get T-shirts to all of you. I haven't worked out how to do that yet, so I will take that one on. But let's look at this. I've been a few times over in the UK this year. And it was pretty telling back in June of this year that something serious was going wrong. Because inside in every IT company, the one thing that they were telling me is that there's one place where there's an unlimited budget right now, and it's security. And you look at these marketing had looked at this, and at Explore, I put up names of companies. And they said, you can't do that, Paul. You can't put up the names of the companies. They're all our customers. But if you look at this list, I'm sorry, Joan, but if you look at this list, $440 million ransomware, a major retailer. I'm not going to say the name, but every one of you know who this is, right? Who is it? No? Oh gosh, I won't say it. But anyway, there's also a major UK car manufacturer whose entire production line is down right now, and has been down for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know how much it's costing them, but a car company that cannot produce cars means that they have an existential business crisis happening right now. Okay, and it is not just those few. So inside in every company that you are, and all of your companies, you should be really worried and concerned right now. And cyber has always been one of those things that we kind of, VMware, we're a highly secure platform, and I'll show you that. I'll show you what we've done on VCF in terms of our platform capability. But at the end of the day, it takes you as well. How you protect your infrastructure, how you take the effort to make sure you take advantage of the features, how you make sure that you keep on top of compliance and security, and identity threats, and make sure that you're using multi-factor authentication, and make sure you're limiting who's got access to your passwords. All of that stuff, cert rotations. I know we made it difficult in the platform, we're making it easier. But all of that takes your responsibility, not just ours. So please take care of it. The last thing I want is VMware up in the news because people say we're a security threat inside the enterprise. We build incredibly secure software. We need your participation to get there. So that's why we want to talk about this today, right? 71% of multinational enterprises struggle with compliance, but 65% of cyber attacks resulted in data encryption, and that means probably ransomware that they had to pay or they somehow recovered. There's a few ways to recover. We'll show you one of the ways that we have in product to actually recover. But this is something serious, and it does take your participation as the admins of the infrastructure to take this seriously. No longer is it fair to do security through obscurity. Okay? Just because it's hidden behind a firewall does not make it safe. Internal threats are just as strong a risk, and generally the attacks that are happening right now are credential attacks because of silly little kind of social media attacks and impersonation stuff that they managed to get a hold of. So you've got to take care of that. That's why you do things like multi-factor authentication. So please be very wary of it. Now the good news is we deliver you a highly secure platform. But a show of hands, like I'll take the bottom right on the secure platform. How many of you actually have turned on even secure boot on the platform? About half you. Okay, think about what secure boot is doing. We're taking every one of the kind of extended binaries that are going into ESX, and we're doing signed binaries on it to make sure that that is not corrupted at all and nobody's getting into our supply chain and messing around with things. Because imagine you could actually stick a whole piece of ransomware code directly into ESX. That would be nice. It would be a really helpful place to put it. It should be on everywhere. It should be it's on in your Windows laptop. You're doing it by default there. It's on in your Apple and your Macs and things like that. It should be on in your ESX server. So take advantage of features that are there, right? Encryption at rest and in transit. A little more difficult. I can understand why people don't have that on all the time. Multi-factor authentication, switch. We made it hard before. We're now OAuth brokered identity. It's in VCF 5.2. It's in 9.0. Move over and start using it. We've made it a lot easier in 9.0. Live patching. This couldn't have come soon enough. It's not there soon enough for you. Most of you right now are probably vSphere 8, VCF 5.2 based environments. It is a lot easier as we move forward. And that will give us live patching of NSX patches, vSphere patches. So lots of capability built into the platform. I'll show you the security operations dashboard to make it easier. The VMSA security alerts, we're also making that easier. I'll show you how we bring those in context so we don't actually, it's not just based on you getting an alert in an email and, oh gosh, I missed the email or I sent it to spam and so I don't know about the security threat. Well, that's a really, really bad way of informing customers. So in context dashboards, you're going to see that in a second. But we take it further. You're going to hear a little later on vDefend and Avi work in terms of how do we actually do kind of, I like to call that the operational security, the runtime security. I've got things running, and the biggest threat that I can look for is what's happening within the network. Are we seeing people kind of start probing within your network and trying to kind of extend their attack? Because that's generally how ransomware actually happens. It actually sits down and they're kind of probing within their network for other security risks and growing from there. So watch for it, and you can actually protect yourself. And then Tanzu is all about the developer. And how do we actually deliver pipeline and code generation capabilities so that you can actually deliver updates quicker? If you do have CVE remediations that need to go into your code, how can you deliver that in code quickly? So lots of capabilities, but if you don't know me at this point, I like demos. So I'm going to show you what it is in the dashboard. So first, one of the things that there's kind of principles in terms of cybersecurity. And one principle is that you must have good forensic diagnostics of everything that's going on in the platform. And we suffered from this in the past. We couldn't tell you exactly what was happening, exactly which user was doing which operation, and make that easily searchable, and make that kind of a forensic diagnostic log so you could actually see what was happening in your platform. That isn't true anymore. Here you see we've actually had a security threat in the environment. We're actually looking at, it's always the junior admin, by the way, who's actually causes all the problems. Poor junior admin, I don't know what it is. And I don't know whether junior admin, to the earlier slide, is male or female. So we'll just call it a eunuch. The kind of key challenge here is, you've got to be able to understand your environment and what's going on. And generally in your environment, you actually don't just have your admin team touching this. You have an operations team, and they may be an outsourced operations team who are actually running your operations. Those are all security threats. Those are all things you need to be able to look for. This gives you very detailed diagnostics so you know what's going on, and all available to you kind of in platform. Now, this is nice. So this is now compliance. So the other part to securing your platform is I actually want to know all of the security settings on the platform, all of the configuration settings. I want to be able to do drift and remediation of that drift. So built into it, based on our SALT capability, we're able to actually do drift and drift remediation. So the basic kind of comparison and comparative against your gold standard is effectively in platform. Also in VCF, we give you compliance dashboards. And we set a whole default set of compliance dashboards like HIPAA and DISA and compliance. But you can also take those compliance ones and say, that doesn't quite match my company. So my company X has this other kind of set of compliance standards. I can take the HIPAA compliance. You can see there's 52 rule sets in there. I can take that, I can adjust it, I can save it as my template. I can do that as my benchmark compare. And we're doing that. We haven't quite finished it for the whole VCF stack, but that's where we're going. In 9.1, we'll have finished it for all of the VCF stack. So we're making it easier in product. Again, my big request to you is take security seriously within your companies. It's about not just us, it's also about you in terms of improvement. I thought I'd show just kind of remediation, and here you see we're actually going and fixing and restricting SSH access because the silly junior admin, again, we don't know what type of sex they are, but that admin has gone and controlled the environment. Whoops, that was interesting. But they've gone and now we have a security threat that has actually just gone and blanked out the screen on us. But if I want to control it, we have VRO workflows to actually go and just fix it. And I want to kind of correct everything on VRO just in case there's any questions. We are fully supporting VRO. We just added more people onto VRO. We are working on simplifying it. We think it's very cool, very critical. We think it's going to help a lot. And we're doing it because we want to build more and more workflows in there to actually help you remediate things. All of those workflows, of course, are easy for you to actually view, change, modify, all that type of thing. It's something that's particularly nice. So, let's see if I can get this thing to. So a few extra things we're doing. So core platform we've made strong and resilient. We announced at Explore advanced cyber compliance. And we'll leave it all up to you. I was talking to Joe earlier. You're going to come up with what the three-letter acronym is, because we can't come up with a three-letter acronym for this. We're not sure what we did on the marketing and the naming of this, but anyhow, and it's from my team. But advanced cyber compliance, you guys will work out what it is. But more important is what it is. And it kind of covers three areas. One is continuous compliance. How do I make sure things are always running to my standards and that I enforce those policies across the running infrastructure, not just on the infrastructure, but also on my application sets. And of course, we can extend now into application sets because we acquired SaltStack a few years ago, and we built that directly into this offering. The second is if things go skew ways wrong, and everything has gone horrendously wrong, and you've got a down production line, and nobody can buy. Sorry, I shouldn't have. I didn't finish the word, so it doesn't count. But anyway, but if nobody can buy cars anymore, I can just recover from it. Now that's kind of nice. I can do my ransomware recovery where I can actually just take my prior kind of snapshots. I can go back in time. I love reversing time, undoing everything, revalidating that it's actually clean of any of the cyber threats, and then recovering. And you do it on a VM by VM basis. Clearly an expensive enough task to actually do that. So you want to do it on really your critical infrastructure elements that you need to bring back up. Think of your payment systems. Think of your records like that. And then the third is, how do we actually help you on platform and incident response? How do we make sure that we minimize your risk exposure? And for that, we actually are doing two things. We're extending, everybody knows CVSS scoring issues. We do level 9 issues, which are critical security threats. For this, for people who actually have this service, you get to level 7, which is the important level issues. So for companies that are generally in finance, healthcare, government industries, I think it'll be particularly pertinent because they want us to get to important level critical issues and fix those in a very expeditious way. And as part of that, we actually do monthly audits of customers' runtime environments. So continuous enforcement. So Salt Stack. Salt is back. We are putting more investment in to actually support it properly. We think it's very valuable. But this is not just about Salt Stack, which we're doing in VCF platform. It's included. Okay, for just doing that configuration compare, we use Salt all behind that. That's how we do the configuration compare that you saw earlier. But we take it further into your customer environments. And we've got customers running it at scale in every one of they basically just build it into their templates that they are using to deploy every virtual machine, every environment that they run. That's what we would like to see. It helps you kind of run desired state kind of configuration of that box and enforcement of it. So please use it. Very beneficial across your environment. The Chisel containers. We announced a big announcement with Ubuntu that you saw, and I hope you love it because Canonical is a local company. I thought they were Cambridge, but I was corrected. It's London, and for some reason they actually founded the company in Chelsea. Who founds a company in Chelsea? But anyhow, but it's a pretty cool company because it is the #1 container OS company out there. And Chisel containers are quite cool. The capability for Chisel containers is actually included in this. This gives us the ability to actually just minimize all of the periphery libraries. You look at all of the dependencies that container has, that container runtime, you remove all the dependencies, you minimize your security risk. And then lastly is the enhanced data recovery. If things go wrong, how do we actually set up a clean room, right? Because things have gone wrong, I've lost my production environment, isolate off immediately the destination environment where I have all the replicas. That's now protected. It's not going to screw up anything else. While it's in that isolated environment, start rewinding time, go back through kind of snapshots. We couldn't do this until we bought Datrium a few years ago, as you probably remember. But that gave us the rolling recovery of snapshots so that we could do this. So we roll recovery actually back to point in time, and we validate that, and then we do cleansing, which is basically just snapshot recovery. So we're bringing all of that on premises. In product today in 9.0 is only the replication side. So as you want to get SRM, as you want to get VLR or all of that capability, it's actually part of this pack in 9.0. But the full ransomware recovery, we're actually bringing into 9.1 on-prem to on-prem. Capability, so making it software only. Software only means that all of you as service providers should be able to deploy it too. I don't know, how many are service providers in this audience? A few. So hopefully you will all be able to build services based on this too. And then the last is, how do we actually help you in terms of, in terms of proactive security assessments that we do. They come from our people. And the confidential computing. Confidential computing's been really an area that the industry's invested a lot over the last 10 years, and we've failed at it. And we failed at it because for anybody who knows what confidential computing is, it means everything's encrypted all the time, even the runtime on the CPUs. And that means that as you're actually, if you remember a long time ago, how many remember the Intel side channel attacks? Right? Intel side channel attacks are probably the reason why we've got shorter duration on the lifespan of the current CPU generation, where Intel's saying, I don't want to support them for any longer, because they still have a cyber security threat risk inside in there. Because what was happening is you have the multi-threads in the system, and you were able to actually go and jump across a thread and actually look at what was happening on the other thread in real time. You can't do that if it's encrypted. And that's effectively what we're doing with the confidential and trusted compute based on work with Intel and AMD that we've been doing for years. So what we're doing is making that a heck of a lot easier to use within the product so that it just becomes something you can just turn on. It's the problem on true confidential compute for you as users is we do this all the time as IT, or as the tech companies, we make things too hard to use. So With that, I've probably gone a little over, but Joe, I don't know how much time we have for questions, but I was trying to jump through it. But go for it.
Great. So look, we talked about this a few months ago. You came over to London. We visited some rather large customers and some important customers, and you came across with this theme of cyber compliance being very, very important to customers, more so than ever before. Clearly, following, this is not just a cyber attack. This is a very special type of company cyber attack we had, and then followed by the car company, and many other things as well. You mentioned things like 9.1 and 9.2 in your speech just now. How is the conversations you've had with those customers affecting that roadmap around 9.1 and 9.2? I mean, obviously we've got this new pack that we've announced, etc. But how's that affecting your thinking around the roadmap going forwards?
Oh, I think it's very simple. If all of you know kind of product managers only think in threes. We can't think past three. We go 1, 2, 3. There's our 3 initiatives. That's what we're driving. Our security and our compliance one is always one of those. It doesn't matter which one, they're not ordered, but that is very important. I think even, well, I say all of IT kind of sometimes plays second fiddle, security plays second fiddle to everything else that you're trying to do to run an efficient operation, to get the cost efficiency, to look at your cost compares versus cloud. All of that side is true. I think like IT, we kind of always, it was always like 1, 2, and I do security.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's changed entirely in terms of our roadmap. That's why you see the advanced cyber compliance. I think you see much more of a kind of push that if we don't make this the most secure, resilient infrastructure, it should be better and more compliant than any cloud can be. And we truly believe that. That's one of our crown jewels of differentiation. And so I think what it's done is just, it was always important. It's turned it kind of on its head in terms of importance. And that means we're doing kind of more investment. And like I said, the confidential computing one I think is very interesting. We're actually working as part of a confidential compute consortium, which is kind of interesting because we're actually building an ability to kind of sign applications and be able to have them move around across different environments, cloud and on-prem. So we're not sitting still in this area, and we're going to continue to innovate. And we're going to continue to work with customers like all of you to actually help you implement that bar. So as we look at adoption of VCF, one big aspect that we're looking at in all of those adoption kind of programs and plans with customers is how do we actually help you elevate your security in your environment.
So all the roadmap stuff leads up to you, okay? In terms of what goes on with VCF. How do the people out there get stuff into that roadmap?
So that's actually relatively easy. So first, give us feedback. So there's a couple of different feedback means. So there's in-product feedback. Do use that. So that comes into us through basically AHA dashboards. AHA is an external company that we use. It doesn't matter. It's a SaaS service. But it gives us basically priority roadmaps, and it allows you to actually upvote on feature requests coming in. So please do that. Many of you are probably part of relatively significant kind of companies. And how many of you participate in CTABs, Customer Tech Advisory Boards? Okay, about a third of you. But that's actually a great means for us as well, because what we do with those tech companies is we do 2 days in person, and we're going to do it at every one of these Explore events. We want to generally, not all the time, but generally we want to have CTABs or Customer Tech Advisory Boards that we do feedback on. So that would be a second kind of means. The other side is I would just kind of look to the VMUG leadership, and I guess there's VMUG leadership in the second row. Why didn't you get the front row? All of the important people took it. Yeah. That's good. I agree with you. I think the leadership should sit at the back in the future. But I would kind of challenge the VMUG leadership on help us. We are spending more time, I think, as I hope you're seeing, with VMUG and with you as a community of users. I would love to work out how do I get priority requests coming through your channel too, so that we can actually treat that. Because you get to a volume set of customers that we just generally don't hear from. And it's great to have the in-product feedback, but that's 400,000 customers. I get the CTAB, which is 500 customers. maybe there's a happy medium where you get me to the
Maybe
20,000.
maybe there's like mini product feedback workshops we could do at Tabs or something.
I would love to do that, and do them here.
VMUG, yeah.
We could do that.
yeah.
We could do that at VMUG events.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So those kind of things, totally up for that. But
Cool.
we are certainly, as we look at product roadmap, one of the things I instigated a few years ago is in everything we do, we're always trying to innovate, right? Where am I going to go to next? Where's the next cool feature I can build? All of that. That's what product managers do. And what we've also set in place, though, is 10% of your backlog must be coming from existing customer requirements that have fed into you. And I want to see that. And so we're kind of measuring those things as just optics and make sure we don't just kind of, fall behind on key requirements from customers while we still innovate.
Cool. All right, Paul. Thank you. We'll see you
All
again
right.
shortly when
Yeah,
you come
no,
back
thanks.
and join us for Q&A.
Good to catch up.
Thank you. So you heard vDefend mentioned, you heard Avi mentioned, and some other bits and pieces there. One of the other cool things we've got here is that right here we have Prashant Gandhi, who is the Director for Products for the ANS division that owns those products. So Prashant, do you want to come and join me on stage?
Hi, everyone.
So Prashant, do you want to quickly tell us what you're responsible for in ANS?
Yeah, absolutely. I run the product management team within ANS, which is application networking and security. Application networking is really Avi load balancer, and security is vDefend. Both are advanced services for VCF.
So look, those are, you just said, so vDefend and Avi are advanced services for VCF. Who out here uses vDefend or Avi? Okay, so that's a good start. There's probably, I'd say, just over a third there. So they are, clearly advanced services to enable this sort of lateral security and other stuff. But clearly, the people who didn't put their hands up aren't using those.
Yeah,
so they
keeping
must
their windows open.
So they're leaving their windows open. And there's a different way to put it. There's of course there must be other products they're using, third-party firewalls, third-party load balancers, etc. So why should those people be considering, vDefend and Avi for VCF?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the kind of joke I made,
I think your mic's failed. It's obviously failed, yeah. There you are.
Resiliency is important.
Yeah, it's good. Backup. Yeah.
Think about, everyone has a perimeter firewall, right? But think about that from a house perspective. You lock your front door, but you can have the garage door, you have the back door, you have windows, and you have to lock them down also. The attackers are using a variety of techniques, to enter in the environment. They're using AI techniques to find out bugs, vulnerabilities in software, open source software, and enter through that. So that's why, it's important that we lock down, from a network perspective, network traffic perspective, applications. So vDefend is zero trust lateral security. Really plug and play for in the VCF environment, and fully software defined, right?
Okay.
And you can say, well, what about Avi? Avi is a load balancer. How does that play in security? Well, a load balancer is front-ending the application. It is terminating SSL and has access to the full web traffic.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect spot for providing security for web attacks. And so those are two areas that we are focused on from security perspective, enabling cyber defense for against ransomware and malware.
And how did they compare against other options? If I was going to go buy a third-party one, so physical firewalls, physical load balancers, etc. Why would someone out there go with a software-defined one?
Well, I think what is cloud? Cloud is software-defined. I mean, if you take software-defined and jam hardware appliances on top, you don't get that full experience of a private cloud. When you build private cloud with VCF, you have software-defined compute, software-defined networking, software-defined storage, and then the right architecture for that is to have software-defined security and software-defined load balancing, and that's really what vDefend and Avi provide. It's kind of the right architecture to build out the private cloud. And what is the outcome? The outcome is really the cloud operating experience, right? The automation, the simplicity, the visibility, and that's really what you get when you add AVI and vDefend on VCF.
It's one of the cool things I love about the demo, if you saw the demo for Explore keynote yesterday, et cetera, is the fact that we're rolling out infrastructure for developers, and they're able to just spin up load balancers on demand and load balance capabilities, which is just unbelievable.
Speed of deployment, right?
Yeah.
Simplicity and speed and security are three critical components, and that's what, when you're fully integrated with the platform, the VCF, right? And as VCF 9 has emerged, both vDefend and AVI are fully integrated.
So let's come back to the vDefend piece. You mentioned perimeter firewalls, you talked about front doors, et cetera. What's so special about having vDefend over having existing firewall software out there and firewall hardware?
Yeah, so if you look at kind of ransomware and malware and compliance requirements to enable zero trust, whether it's PCI or HIPAA or GDPR, sorry, there are different techniques required in order to address the different types of threats. Okay. And each threat requires, that different technology. And if you were to look at different products and try to stitch it together, it's a very complicated environment. So it slows you down because you're not able to roll out security fast enough. And so with vDefend, it's a single integrated security stack, right? And so all the layers are part of the same stack, so you can do segmentation and microsegmentation with distributed firewall. You can do advanced threat prevention. That includes intrusion prevention. That includes NDR, network detection and response. Malware prevention. All of these capabilities are enabled as part of the same software, so you simply enable them as features versus putting together or cobbling together multiple products and make them work. That's kind of one clear advantage. The second is, the fact that we are part of VCF, we have full access to data. Right? And this is really firewall applied at the VNIC level. And so you get the hypervisor level traffic access, VM level traffic access, container level traffic access, and you get full visibility. Now in security, if you can't see, you can't secure. And if you want to secure more, you got to see more. And that's really where the visibility piece comes in. You got to have workload level security in order to be able visibility in order to do full protection. And that's what one key advantage is, that you get full visibility of who is talking to who.
So there's a unique visibility because it's built into the hypervisor layer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The second, what we have done is that earlier premise was you protect critical workloads. Critical applications. Well, the attackers are obviously very clever. And what they're doing is they're finding the weak spot in the environment, and then they're moving laterally to find a high-value asset, which tells us that, hey, you've got to roll out security, consistent security across all applications, not discriminate critical applications and non-critical applications, right? So, if that were to happen, you need scale, you need performance, and that's what vDefend. Our recent innovations have provided, double or triple the performance, double the performance on the distributed firewall, triple the performance on IDS, and these are simply obtained through software upgrade. So that allows, our end users to be able to roll out security across all the applications. And finally, there is this sense that microsegmentation can take a long time. And there is a lot of back and forth that often is required between the application team and the security team, or the infrastructure team. The other thing, we've been learning, I talked to a couple of customers yesterday, and they said, hey, we have applications, legacy applications, we don't know, no developer is here.
How are you going to
tell us what it does, who it talks to. In some cases, we have some forensics, we don't have all of the forensics. So if we try to move from one place to another, we always run into trouble because we have missed something. And so what we have done is come up with this automated workflow. We call it DFW, or distributed firewall 1, 2, 3, 3 stages. First, you assess your environment for segmentation, get a risk score. And then stage 1, lockdown shared services, stage 2, lockdown zones, and stage 3, lockdown application. By simply observing the environment, learning from the applications, building the rules, and then deploying them and lock them down. And the principle here is for brownfield application is that, hey, don't do any harm. So we assume that the current environment you have is the source of truth,
Yeah.
and then lock it down so that no rogue entities can connect to it.
Cool. So look, let's switch gears to Avi a bit here. So Avi has been around for over 12 years now, yet it's still the only software-defined load balancer you can have on-prem. Are we doing something no one else has got? Is everyone else missing something, or are we missing something? You know, what's the
Right.
secret sauce there
Yeah.
around Avi?
Well, it's turning out that building and architecting a software-defined load balancer is not easy.
No.
And others have tried and have failed in that process. So Avi remains the only software-defined load balancer for on-prem workloads, right? Now, the fact that it is software-defined, you can deploy it as code, you can deploy it as self-service, and it's fully integrated with VCF, with the VCF operations, VCF automation. So you get those amazing capabilities in order to help you deploy load balancing at the speed of applications. And that's really, a key benefit. How do you deploy load balancing at the speed of applications? Also, with hardware load balancer, we have seen, significant cost because you have to deploy 100% redundancy for high availability.
Okay.
And with Avi, because of the active-active nature of it, you don't have to do that. So I call it the AAA advantage. There is the automation,
Yeah.
the speed, then there is the cost savings due to resiliency or because of the scale-out nature, the auto scale-out nature, which gives us active-active capability. And the third one, which is really a wow factor, is analytics. Application performance can be completely visible through analytics because Avi is right in the middle between the client and the application communication. So it gives you application health, it gives you latency analysis. So in fact, we have customers who have delegated the app dashboard, the analytics dashboard, to their ops teams and
Right.
say, hey, look at this and see if the problem is in your app, and then call me. So the innocence goes,
So it starts
it's
to
not
move
on
it
the
up the stack.
infrastructure
Yeah,
team,
yeah.
it's or the platform team. It's with the
So
app.
that helps you integrate better with the development teams and the app teams as well, I suppose,
Exactly.
really. Yeah, okay.
So on security side, what are we doing on Avi, right? So
Yeah.
we have now brought mutual authentication for TLS. So for Kubernetes, two top use cases obviously for Avi are one, VCF workloads, and then Kubernetes workloads, essentially the VMware Kubernetes service running on VCF. So for Kubernetes, we have brought mutual authentication for TLS that allows certificate-based trust establishment between client connections and server connections.
Okay.
So that's very important. So it's fully trusted environment there. Second is, there are web attacks, and you need a web application firewall, and this is actually required for PCI. So Avi is the perfect place for that. This capability is integrated into the Avi stack. And what we have done is provided now the assessment capabilities. So as Avi is running, it tells you, hey, are you experiencing any web attacks? And as you see them, you can progressively turn on the web application firewall capabilities to address that, right? And finally, whether we like it or not, the era of quantum is here. Ish.
We're still
early
waiting.
stages,
I mean, yeah,
right?
we get that.
But the attackers are looking at this as an opportunity to harvest the traffic now,
Correct.
and then decrypt later when quantum computing becomes economical.
I think a lot of
next
people
year.
miss that one. They also go, oh, by the time that's right, we'll have fixed it. It's like,
Right.
no, people are getting your data now. In about 5 years' time, they're going to go through
Exactly.
it. So
Yeah. So a lot of highly sensitive, organizations, security-sensitive organizations are worried about that.
Yeah.
So we have been working with some financial organizations here, partnering with them to enable post-quantum crypto, quantum-resistant crypto, and this will be, we have announced these capabilities in our upcoming release.
And I think the point about vDefend and Avi it's not be it's not be understated. I'm quite often involved in work with our customers where we go through an architecture process, and quite often we're comparing against physical. So there's one we've done for a particular customer recently where they had a design that was oddly led by a hardware provider, and their architecture looked like so. And then by the time we'd come in with things like vDefend and Avi and other just the core VCF capabilities, we ended up with less than half the infrastructure, but more resilience and less cost. And I think that's key to that.
Precisely.
So the key workloads we're looking at now, private AI. And obviously you have private AI is now included as part of VCF. So what are we looking at there?
Private AI part of VCF.
Yeah,
That's
free.
fantastic, right?
Included, yeah.
So our kind of approach here is, can we apply AI to make cyber better?
Yep.
And can we apply our cyber defense capabilities, we defend an AVI, to make AI more secure?
Yeah.
Right. So now AI has obviously 3 components: AI, ML, and this is something that we have been doing. Right. This requires really providing insights and inference recommendations based on the data we collect, and obviously we have fantastic access to data. I mean, I say that with AI, if you have a pocket dictionary, you can do so much. Mm-hmm. And if you have the Oxford dictionary, the big one, then you can do a lot more. And so that's really kind of the difference between AI and ML insights you get through AML applied from the data that you have, which is the right data that you have, and you get the right insights. So fidelity is very important.
Yeah.
Same thing with Gen AI, and so we are investing there to provide chatbots for both vDefend and AVI, right? And so from insights, you get the answers. And the third aspect is leveraging AVI and vDefend to secure AI workloads, inference workloads, agentic AI workloads, leveraging MCP. MCP is a new protocol, right, for agents to talk to a variety of services and tools.
And you're introducing MCP support into...
Exactly. How do we get visibility to MCP endpoints, and then how do we get session persistence for MCP? So
to be honest, when I first looked at MCP from a security perspective, it scared the hell out of me. So...
somebody the other day told me RDP is ransomware distribution protocol.
Yeah.
Let's not make MCP a malware communication protocol.
Well, yes, it's true. Honestly, it really did.
So we got to lock it down, and I think
cool.
So we are working towards that.
Okay. So last thing, very quickly, before we move on. The people out there that didn't put their hands up, how we enable these VMUG users on vDefend and AVI, what can they do next?
Yeah, so one of the things we have done is if you clear the VMware certification program, VCP, for VCF.
Which you can do here today.
For VCF, which is the base thing that everyone needs to do. Mm-hmm. You get, and you're an Advantage user. Yeah. Then you get free licenses for AVI and vDefend. Yeah. Right, for the lab use. And we have low-hanging use cases like DFW stage 1, locking down shared services. Yeah. Very easy. And that's infrastructure team. You don't have to talk to anyone. You can do that yourself. And so sign up for workshops where you can get that understanding of the use cases, and the licenses are available, and we are here to help you secure the VCF environment.
Brilliant. Super. Prashant, thank you very much for your time. I'll let you go and get your microphone fixed because we're having you back up. All right, my last guest on stage today is a good friend of mine. He happens to also be called Paul, which is slightly confusing for both the prep for this session and for you later on. But I'd like to welcome to the stage Paul Nothard. Woo!
Thank you very much.
So, Paul, we've talked a lot about some lovely tooling and some software and some wonderful products that we do. So why on earth would people care about security? And you get to have the exciting thing. If you get to go to talk to customers about compliance, that must be fun.
So I'm here in white shirt because I'm representing the business.
Well done.
The basic idea is so what, or but why is a polite way of saying it. It's great that we've got these tools, but who cares? Why? So thank you. So this is the old thing. So this is a financial services thing. This is an old cartoon talking about, obviously, we in the UK and EMEA, we have compliance issues. We generally adhere to them for the most part. Historically, other people, shall we say, Wall Street bankers from America, they see it as guidelines. So what I want to do today is to bring to bear the fact that this is not just you have to do it, but it's also common sense. Mm-hmm. Just because people, all these people doing compliance, they don't do it for, I was about to swear there, but they don't do it just for fun. They actually do it for good reasons.
I think some weird people do it for fun.
Some do, but that's a bit of a balance. So global regulations continue to evolve. There are lots out there. This we can keep up to date on going forwards, but the key one is DORA that affects us. So there are a few people who have come to me over the last couple of days talking about DORA, and I want to just drill down into that very briefly. 2 things about DORA, just very high level. It's about operational resilience, and it's about concentration risk. We help out. So it's great that we've got all these tools, but one thing to not forget about is the tools that we come to the table with. We've just taken a slide out that I was going to talk about, but it's the resilience is across VMware. Everything we do is built from a resilience perspective. So when it comes to operational resilience, which is one of the cornerstones of a lot of these various regulations, pick your regulation, it all comes down to resilience, in my opinion.
So,
now, that could be security resilience, it could be uptime resilience.
That's going to be my question. When you say resilience, what do we mean by resilience? Resilience against what?
So a previous VMUG, well, one good example, microphones. We need 2 microphones just in case one thing goes wrong. That's resilience. At the same way, you need data resilience. What happens if a disk drive breaks? Remember those spinny things? If that breaks, that's where RAID came from, because we used to, back in the day in the 90s, when I was doing Oracle rack databases on Seagate, Barracuda drives and all that good stuff with plug-in SCSI. We had resilience, dual path resilience.
Yeah.
It's all about resilience in terms of data flow. It's business resilience.
So VCF's got resilience built in.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. So does that mean if I've got VCF, particularly VCF 9, which is the coolest, latest version that everyone should have, right? Can I just tick a box and say compliance done? As far as if the DORA inspectors turn up, can I just go, I've got VCF, look?
Yes and no. This
right.
is controversial, but you've got to architect it. I can sell you a Ferrari, but if I don't teach you how to drive a Ferrari, you're going to drive it slowly or crash, and it's really bad if you buy a Ferrari and you want to go rallying. Although you might do that.
I have to.
Yeah, okay.
I've done that.
It's all about using the correct tool for the correct job and architecting it in the correct way. That would be my thing. So a really good example is when you talk about high availability or disaster recovery. What is the difference between a stretch cluster versus a DR site? All of these good things. The only answer is, does it meet your company's SLAs? So we talk about, we've got all these various tools. It'll give ridiculously high levels of uptime on premises. Do you need it if you're a print server? No, typically.
Yeah.
But then again, what is your highest resilience business tool? Could it be Excel? Could it be email? You need to do the right thing at the right time for the right job, and we provide the optionality to do that.
So we were chatting the other day about this, and actually thinking from an audience perspective, this is a way for them to actually raise awareness in their business, right, of what's going on. And this is the whole point, I think, about DORA and stuff, about how infrastructure should be done, right?
Yeah, so what's happened with this whole DORA malarkey, everybody was just writing in financial services because it mostly affects financial services or anybody that does business with financial services, which is a lot of you. A lot of people kind of were just going, yeah, it's coming, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. And then suddenly, the businesses got involved, the business owners got involved because it was their job on the line. They would get fined. Some of the rules around a lot of these newer compliance frameworks, they basically make it, they put it on the directors. So the CXO will get a hefty fine and go to jail if they break things.
Yeah.
That focuses the mind. And funnily enough, then they come knocking on our doors saying, are we reliant? Are we compliant? Do we do this? Do we do that? So on that point about are we compliant, is VCF compliant is a question I get a lot. There are 2 aspects to that. The first is VCF fundamentally, as brilliant as it is, 9 being the best one, it's a tool. And if you don't implement the tool correctly, it's just a tool. It is not a silver bullet. So you have to change your operational model. That's a really good thing to do. But what it does is it helps you become compliant. That's the key thing. The other aspect of it is VCF compliant? When you look at DORA and various other regs, it's all about partner management, and it's about understanding business risk. We're a supplier of software. The question is, are we a supplier of services? That's the terminology in DORA. And the broad answer is a little bit. For most people, most of the time, we don't provide a service.
Oh, okay.
Because we're just software. I give you software, and you implement it. You are the service owner. The reason that we do provide a bit of a service is around our support services, the clues in the name. And so because of that, so for people in financial services who require DORA compliance, we have got a legal addendum that basically says, yes, we will provide that level of service. So you, as a DORA compliant company, you will be asking us to be compliant and provide you the correct level of service. So, but honestly, that's only about 9–10% of the problem. The biggest problem that we help with is using the tools that we bring to the table to allow you to be better compliant across DORA and various other regulations.
So T-shirt Paul in his demo earlier.
Yes, T-shirt Paul.
T-shirt Paul as opposed to posh shirt Paul. So T-shirt Paul, he showed a slide where there was like HIPAA compliance and other things in there. And this isn't a leading question because I honestly don't. Is there a DORA compliance thing in there?
Not yet, but you'll find that a lot of the DORA compliant type things, they all come from common sense,
Right.
and NIST. It all kind of trickles down from there.
Are we going to do a DORA compliance bit in there?
I don't know. You need to talk to that man there.
Okay.
But it's a relatively easy lift.
He'll tell me it's in 9.2.
Yeah, exactly. It's a relatively easy lift. We already provide a whole load of tooling out there. So there's a brilliant white paper that's hidden within one of our Git repositories that talks specifically about here are the functions that you need to look at specifically for DORA. Have you turned on this widget? Have you turned off that widget, etc.
Right.
So Bob Plankers, go Google him. It's in a Git repository out there.
Wow, okay.
It's all there.
Anything else you want to add before we go to Q&A?
No, I think I'm good. Just open it up for questions. We've done DORA presentations before.
Yeah.
Everybody should now be compliant because it was enacted in April. So if you're not, be careful.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting one, and I'll come to that one, because you said financial, obviously banks, right?
Yes.
And people that deal with banks.
Yes.
What does that mean? Like, you know, I deal with a bank.
So you don't provide a service to a bank.
Oh, okay, fine.
So if any of you provide a
I lend them
service to a
money.
bank, well, there is that. If you provide a service to a bank, if you're an IT company yourself, you are at that point. It's all of these different stages and various scopes, and it determines what level of up where the channel is. So if you're providing a service to a bank, the bank or a financial institution who is regulated has to guarantee that you are going to be able to provide that critical service still. Obviously, if you're just washing their windows, it doesn't really matter. But if you're providing something, I don't know, could be some infrastructure for networking for, and I'm completely making it up, PCI compliance on premises somewhere. If you're part of that thing, you have to be compliant as well.
Got you. Cool. All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Take a seat down there, because I'm going to ask the other two.
Yeah.
Don't know why these seats are quite so far apart. Paul, your jacket you threw away quite
I did
carelessly
throw it
there.
away.
Come and grab a seat. There's some mics that are going to go around, I believe, including the one that we just showed. Now, the nice thing is these chairs put me just so that my eye is blinded. So can you hit B on PowerPoint for me? Someone at the back. It's running on a Windows machine. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. That's better. That helps. So let's start. Has anyone got any questions from the audience for Paul, Prashant, or Paul up on stage? Hands up. There must be one, at least, by now, that you've got for... You've got the guy that owns the product roadmap for VCF here, and VCF full stop. You've got the guy that owns it for ANS and vDefend and Avi here, and you've got the guy that will bore you to death, sorry, to educate you about compliance and everything else you ever need to know here as well. So there must be one question. I think there was a hand up here. Yeah. Is there mics moving around, or are you just going to shout out?
I'll shout out, it's fine. So VCF, we talked about it yesterday, absolutely great products, bringing together the components, compute, network, storage, and fantastic. We talked about the advanced services with vDefend, previously NSX, and the distributed firewall. What decision was there with regards to taking that facility and separating it into the advanced services instead of including it in the feature pack? Yeah, we talk VCF being multi-tenancy for our customers and utilising the compute and hardware to the best practice, but then we're going, actually, we need some extra add-ons over here. Obviously, product.
Yeah,
Question,
no,
I guess?
no, actually, a very good question. And actually, let me kind of first state usually that question is first on, why isn't the firewall just part of the base VCF product? It should be. And we actually did debate that seriously. And the challenge is, so to run we're very confident that VCF, we can actually implement a very strong private cloud, automated cloud across IaaS stack, all of that. And as you look at the kind of firewall services, we debated, should we always require it? There's a lot of benefits. I can do VPC, and I can do VPC isolation and segment isolation, and that takes me, of course, that's all included, and the overlay network. But we debated, should we bring the firewall capability actually into that pack as well? And as we did that, we actually said, well, if we do that, we actually end up we have to kind of bump the incremental cost of the platform and things like that. And we were just going to move into a realm where we were out of touch with what the affordability of the platform was. And you can probably say we've got challenges on that, but we looked very much at where we are competitively in terms of price points and things. And so we just felt that was that was important. And then we made it very easy to actually add on the kind of added capability. I think it's 20%, 25%, something like that in terms of incremental costs. So we were very conscious that we don't want to see a proliferation of SKUs. We don't want to go back to that nightmare of mess, but we know you can implement a very strong private cloud with segmentation, with a full IaaS stack. You can bring east-west firewall, north-south kind of firewall capability, and then the AVI capabilities as good add-on capabilities. You don't need them as part of the base platform. So it was just a conscious decision-making. The same thinking actually went into this advanced cyber compliance, right? A lot of the features, right, when it comes down to the platform and compliance in terms of, configuration compliance of the platform, that's got to be there. That's included in VCF. That is not a charge for all of the SALT capabilities that we're doing to validate the platform. But when it comes down to your applications, validating your kind of bigger environment, as we look at extra security kind of scans where I go down to serious level issues in terms of CVSS scoring issues, or our VLR capability, our ability to do ransomware. Again, that's something that if we brought it into the base, we would just have this incremental cost on the base. So we've got to always be careful that we right-size it to fit a kind of major part of the market, and then if there's a subset of the market that actually needs that feature set, then it's better to have it in an add-on, but we try to keep that to as minimal as possible. A long-winded answer, but that's what we consciously go through.
So can we still get DFW on its own, or do we have to buy the full cyber compliance?
DFW has to be built on top of a VCF base.
Clearly on top of a VCF, yeah, but if I'm a VCF...
But no, you can get it on its own, of course. Yeah.
Cool.
In fact, many customers do. So the advanced cyber compliance, I think, is going to be particularly interesting to finance, healthcare, gov, anybody who's
car manufacturers.
Well, I guess so. It wasn't where we expected it. No. We really looked at it from a compliance-targeted industry where there's very strict compliance. They have a very serious CISO kind of mandates inside in their companies overall. That's where we looked at.
Next question. I can't believe there's no more questions. I mean, it's cool because get to finish a bit earlier. But
I love the fact that Paul earlier, when he was talking about the compliance stuff, it felt like he was trying to wheedle out of it. Like we don't deliver the service. We're a product company. We only go so far.
That's simple.
That's like most compliance.
We're not trying to wheedle out of stuff, honestly. The importance there is that it actually takes you, as you implement it, you are actually the service owners. And please look at the security papers that we have built. We built them around different compliance ones. We actually have published compliance study papers too. All of those feed into the compliance reporting that I was showing, but it does take you to implement them for your company.
Cool. Okay. Right. Well, I mean, we're pretty much at time anyway, to be fair, so it's all worked out quite well. So I was worried about overrunning due to questions, but not. Clearly you're going to save all your questions for sessions and other stuff later. So with that, it's just down to me to thank all of my presenters and guests today on the VMUG opening keynote chat show, and wish you all a fantastic VMUG here today in London. I hope you all go and get the most out of it. Don't forget the certification center is still open today. There's a whole bunch of other things still going on. There's some really cool sessions here today that are that next level deeper, that next level of engagement I think you'll find than if you were here yesterday at Explored, really to add on. So it's really great to see you all here. Thank you all for being VMUG members. Hopefully by the end of the day you'll all be VMUG Advantage members as well if you're not already. And we'll see you all again soon. Thanks very much.